draw a copy of a small Silverpoint drawing by the great German artist Hans Holbein, who spent most of his life practicing in England. He's famous for drawing the wives of King Henry VIII before he killed them. Yeah, can you imagine?
This is Henry VIII?
No.
That's not. The artist is made by King Henry VIII.
Well, Henry VIII would hear about some potential bride in a foreign land, and he would literally send Hans Holbein off to draw her. I think so, yeah, and he would bring the drawing back, and Henry would make his decision on the basis of the drawing. So just imagine if the drawing wasn't accurate, Henry was not an easy guy to work for. So I am starting with a really simplified drawing of a skull in 3/4 view. So I'm breaking, and I'm looking at the shadow edge to sort of decide where this breaks. This is sort of the cheekbone, the jaw, and I'm giving myself a little center line way over here. And I'm noticing that the eyes are on a slight slant going down to the left. And I'm going to sketch in the hairline. He's got bangs, so the hairline's lower than it normally would be. And we can take a few measurements. Let's think about the back of the cranium is probably about here. And the side of the head is here. And this eye this is how it breaks into thirds. You see what I'm doing here? So there's the edge of the head, there's the eye is 1/3, the hairline is 2/3, the back of the cranium is 3/3, and then there's another half a unit just for the hair. So the hair is going to come back to here, but we're going to be thinking about the hairline here is just to the right of the shadow edge. And we're going to split this in half. That's going to give us the location of this iris, which I'm going to mark with a little bit of halftone. And the other iris is going to be way over here. And I just did, with that little bit of math, I just sort of figured out the main thing that I would measure in any 3/4 drawing, which is how far over is this eye from the edge of the face.
The right one's higher.
The right one is a little higher. See, if I pull a line through the pupils, it slopes down a little. And I am blocking in the hair very simply. Before you try to draw the curves in a shape like that, it's really useful to just think about it in terms of straight lines like this. So, and don't save the hair for last. Everybody draws a face and then they add hair to it, and things rarely fit together the way you expect them to. And don't add shoulders last either. This shoulder comes out right from behind the chin, and this collar comes out from behind the hair over here. I'm gonna go ahead and indicate the rest of the collar, and I'm gonna do a first shading all through here because all of this is at least a little bit in shadow. And I'm even gonna shade a little bit the back of the head. And the goal there, you'll see that the thing suddenly jumped into 3 dimensions. We can read it as a volume now, where we couldn't a second ago. Okay, for some of you, this is going to be new information, so I'm going to go over a few of the important things that we look for in 3/4 view images. One of the most important things to be aware of is the way that, wait, this is going to be embarrassing, but let me make myself big for a second. So you can see. Okay. So here's the bridge of my nose. There's 2 surfaces on either side of it. And the most important thing to realize about a 3/4 view is that when we turn the head a little bit this way, this surface gets much bigger and the other surface disappears. So the biggest mistake people make is they want the bridge of the nose to remain centered between the eyes, but it's not centered at all. And in this figure, it's turned way like this, and you can see that the surface here is very large and the surface is absolutely gone. Okay, I may never do that again. I'm gonna make myself tiny. I'm gonna make myself tiny again. Okay. So let's get rid of some of this. So the big idea here is that between this iris and the bridge of the nose is hardly any space. So the bridge of the nose is way over here. Let's sketch the eyebrow. And let's take one more measurement. Remember, if we go from the eyebrow to the bottom of the nose, that's usually the same distance as the bottom of the nose to the bottom of the chin. And if I had gone from the center of the eyebrow, that would have been the case. Can you see that? So this distance here to here is the same as here to here. So if we know where the eyebrow is, we know where the bottom of the chin is, we go halfway, that's going to get the correct length of the nose. Remember, the most common beginner's error is to always make the nose a little too long, so that's a good thing to measure to avoid that problem. So here's where the nose hooks under. Here we're actually seeing the outside profile of the philtrum, which we don't normally see in a front view at all. The mouth is just where we would expect it, a third of the way down, the line between the lips. So we're going to draw this curve for the Cupid's bow of the mouth first. And then this curve is sort of elongated because it's facing us. And the lower lip, this is the section of the mouth that's going away from us. It's completely foreshortened. And the bottom lip is pretty straightforward under that. So what you're seeing here is Cupid's bow of the mouth. And everyone, please pay close attention, especially if you weren't in advanced drawing last semester. This form from the front is symmetrical, right? If faces were flat and we angled the head like this, it would still be symmetrical. And that's, please don't talk, that's the main error people make conceptually, is people think faces are flat. So they try to keep the center curve of the mouth in the middle. What faces really are horseshoes, right? They curve back. So from the front, those corners of the mouth are already foreshortened. They're moving away from you. And if we angle just a little bit like this, what happens is this section of the mouth that's facing us elongates because it's no longer foreshortened, and the section that's going away from us gets more foreshortened. So even a very slight movement this way creates a huge asymmetry. And my students typically mess that up. They typically, in a side view mount, they typically try to keep it too symmetrical like that. So that's not what we want. What we want is this section is tiny, this section is very large. When you understand it, it's very easy to draw, and if you don't understand it, it's like impossible. You're never going to get it right. You could practice every day for the rest of your life, and you're just going to get it wrong every time. So to gauge the distance back of the ala, I could triangulate. So I could say, I could look for an equilateral triangle in here, and I could say, yeah, that's sort of, isn't that sort of equilateral? So I've already got this, I know this distance, and that sort of would help me measure that distance. You see what I just did? It's not something I would normally draw. It's a way I might think. But that's an easy way to sort of figure out where to get this. Another way is to measure this angle from here to here, assuming this is in the right place. And you could even say, yeah, that's kind of parallel to this. So if we know this angle should be about the same. That's the kind of thinking that artists do automatically, but if you can learn to do it, and very effective. Okay. Okay. Here we go. The same thing that happened with the mouth applies also to the eyes. This eye is very foreshortened because it's turning away from us. So let's see how close I can get. And focus lock. Okay, so there's really not much to see here. It's sort of, this dark line represents the lash line of the upper lid. There's another line here that's the crease of the upper lid. The iris, there's a little damage to this drawing, so we can't see the entire iris, but we can see the pupil right where we expect it to be. Notice that he's done the lower margin very straight. It doesn't curve down, so don't just make a mindless little football there. Just make that straight the way it appears in the drawing. And then notice that behind the lid, and this is typical in this view, is this little fullness that artists call this sausage for some reason. It's the fullness of skin between the upper lid and the eyebrow. So there's that. You'll notice it's so much easier to draw these features when we're zoomed in on them. So when you're doing work from your own photographs, I encourage you to do the same thing. Here's the cheekbone on the receding side. I'm noticing that the nostril is pretty elevated on this young man, so I'm going to take a little measurement here. See how it comes up almost to the tip of the nose? And that's going to help me make sure that I put it high enough on the nose, like that. And we can erase that now. There's a little halftone right here of the philtrum. And hopefully it's going to help us a lot that we already marked the location of this other eye. So the iris is about there. This drawing really shows that too many of us, after we draw one eye, we just feel like a little bit of pressure to make the other eye sort of the same shape. And you can see there's no similarity between these shapes, the eyes at these very different angles. So here's the lash line again. And this is a great example of, in my students, I often see that they'll give the same line weight for the lash line above and the lower lash line. And they'll make eyes like this. I see this every day. And it just looks so crude. Can you see the difference in line weight between this line, which is heavy, this line, which is heavy, and the lower, there's a pair of lines underneath which are both very faint. You can barely see them. So there's one here and there's one here. And the key is you barely want to touch these lower lines because you're trying to show that this surface is receiving light. We'll put a little halftone under this to define the eye socket and the bridge of the nose. And we can go ahead and draw some of those lashes. And look at the astonishing depth of that iris. I mean, this drawing is a tiny, tiny little drawing done with the instrument, the Silverpoint, that you can't even erase. And yet, look at how much light there is in that eye. It's just an amazing feat. Yeah, I have not done it justice, but. And we're going to give him a little eyebrow on this side. Just for balance, I'm going to darken this pupil a little bit. And I'm going to say this again for the 100th time. Like, people ask me, how do you draw hair? And you just have to copy a lot of drawings and pick your favorite method. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. He's clearly using like a blunter instrument. Like this, I'm using the side of my pencil right here to draw the bangs. And I'm coming down over that edge a little bit. But he's basically done an amazing job of drawing hair, and he's doing the thing I always tell my students not to do, which is it looks like he's almost drawing one hair at a time. The reason he's getting away with it is because he has such control of his line weight. You see how the lines start out heavy at the bottom and they get thinner as they go up. So So there's a sense of the light hitting the hair, even though he hasn't done any shadow mapping or first shading that I can discern. So when I get a little back from my drawing, I can see that you know, despite taking careful measurements, feels like I have this eye placed a little too far to the right. Is anyone else feeling that? Feels like it's sort of drifting a little. So it's important to show that we sometimes have to make corrections. If you followed me closely, you certainly don't have to do this, but this is an important skill. Like, I can still see where the eye used to be, so I erase it, not quite completely, and I just do the same moves, just slightly over to the left. That was probably less than 1/4 of an inch movement, but I think that's better. And you have to work into your workflow, you have to get comfortable making corrections like that and not feel like it's the end of the world if you have to move something. Okay, we're almost done here. I'm going to zoom out again. And this is a great example of some really strong contour hatching. So let's define that chin. And then we're going to hatch around this form. He didn't even do a first shading. He's basically just doing this beautiful shading around the form, down onto the neck, and this very subtle deepening of the shadow along the jawline. Here's a little more contour shading under the cheekbone. There's a few curls showing up on the other side of the head. And you certainly don't want to try to copy this hair line for line, but you can try to get a little bit of the feel of Holbein's work. And if you copy hair by like 10 different artists and stay attuned to what methods you enjoy and what methods you don't, pretty soon you'll be doing hair in your own special way. But the form is just so complex that there's only Dylan really has time to do it. You know Dylan, my friend from Facebook Reels.
Oh my goodness, yes. Oh, hyperrealism now?
Yeah, like he'll draw every hair, but the rest of us have to we just don't have time to do that, so we have to figure out ways to do it.
Where did the beef come from?
I don't really want to talk about it on this video because I'm sure Dylan follows my content. Dylan he probably learned everything he knows from me. Okay, what do you think? Are we done with this? Okay, I'm going to come around and check your work. Do you want to show your drawings to the to my YouTube audience?
No. I
Okay, why don't you, oh, that's Kathy. She's not even in this class. Does- Okay, sorry, YouTube audience. I don't think anybody's up for sharing their work today.
I'm sure my was so wise. I mean,
You just don't want to see it.
Did you draw this, Kathy?
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. Sorry.
Okay, so again, this is a free copy. This is not a closed copy. It's sort of my impression of the drawing. And oh, we have some volunteers.
here it's ass.
Okay, here we go. That's solid. Very nice. And we have another one. Okay. This is my ECE drawing class, so this is very high level work here. Thank you very much for sharing. That's very good. Oh, okay, I have another one coming. Thank you.
It's not that good. It's probably one of the worst drawings I've ever done.
Oh, this is one of the worst drawings Olivia's ever done. No, that's very good. Okay.
I made the nose wrong.
No, this is where the drawing is a record of the fact that we've looked at the whole thing. That's really all you're trying to get out of it. So, very good. Okay, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.